Good evening, everybody.
Happy Thursday.
So happy to be with you all tonight through the miracle of the internet. We are super excited about our guest,
Yes, we
Chris
are.
Garcia. We're beginning to see spring now. There's some great things going on. We want to get quickly to the opening, read Chris's bio, and then bring him on screen. We have a lot to cover. As you'll hear from the bio and as we talk to him tonight, super gifted. Yes. An array of talents that he's using to do so much good. And then stay with us for the last 3 minutes of the broadcast. We'll give you an idea of what's coming up. Next week is going to be a little different. And then great stuff coming up in the next couple of months. So we are going to roll the intro and we'll be back with Chris. There exists a realm beyond our wildest dreams, a realm beyond reality that the gatekeepers and guardians have always told us consists of nothing but tricks of the eye, weather balloons, swamp gas, sand cranes, fairy tale myths of monsters, crackpot conspiracy theories, and desperate cries for attention.
We know this realm exists, and it's just beyond the horizon. The preset path, the well-worn walkways where the cynics want us to stay.
Instead, give this a listen. Put on your headphones, adjust your volume, close your eyes, and fasten your mental seatbelts because the twilight-tinged turnoff from reality's alluring highway is looming just ahead.
We're about to leave the plane of the easily explained, couldn't possibly be's, and the no way I just saw what I saw's, for the spaces and places where everything is possible, and if you stay long enough, even probable. We're about to take a journey into the outer realms.
Okay, we're back. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Ronald.
Hi, Ronald.
Nice to see you guys. Hello to the rest of the audience. So we want to get started without. We're in for a really excellent hour tonight. So we'll start, as I always do, with our guest bio, which like I said, is very impressive. Chris Garcia is a psychic medium. He is empathic, and he has gifts in clairvoyance, clairsentience, and clairaudience. He also has the ability to see auras and to do remote viewing. He has had these God-given gifts since the age of 5. He loves helping people and sensitive children and adults with these gifts. He's a tarot card reader, and he is into paranormal research and going out into the field looking for ghosts and spirits. He is also a shaman healer, and he is interested in his Indian heritage. We're going to try to touch on all of this evening. Colette is with us for the first time in a while. So hi, Colette, Michael, Janetti. Hi, glad to see everybody here. Please say hello virtually to Chris Garcia. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Chris. Welcome.
Hi, guys. Thank you for giving me the chance to be on the show. It was a privilege. And you know what? For Joey, I didn't know that you had seen me on the Three Beards podcast. I didn't know, but I guess you're familiar with what I've done. I mean, I've done interviews, I've done different shows, but yeah, I'm glad to be here though.
Good,
we're
excellent.
Thrilled to have you.
So you've done readings on the other shows, which primarily I've seen, and people can look at that. Everyone knows we're very close with the Three Beards podcast. Hello to Eva.
Hi,
good
Eva.
Evening. But tonight we want to talk to you about your journey.
Hi, Eva.
We're storytellers. We're very interested in how this journey unfolds. You and Tanya have a lot of similarities, so that's what we're going to concentrate on tonight, which we're very excited about. So, Tanya, you want to ask Chris the first question of the evening?
Yeah. So, Chris, in your bio, you share that you've known that you've had these abilities since the age of 5. And I always find it interesting to learn what are those early experiences for people. So what was it, one experience or was it multiple experiences around the age of 5? What was it that was sort of your first hint that you had these abilities at that age?
Well, well, first I had the experience where I did talk to, of course, I didn't know they were angels. I guess you could say it was my spirit guide. I've had numbers of experiences. That was my first one. The other experiences that I've had was I've had like when I would look and then I would see the spirit there, and then they're like, "Who are you talking to?" They're like, "Well, there's nobody there," and I could see that like an outline. Sometimes I would see them solid. Excuse me, sorry. They would come in different ways to me, but I thought that at that age, I, and the thing about that question you're asking me, I didn't have anyone to teach me about my gifts. I
Mm-hmm.
just was a kid and just started growing up, and they just started like a flower. You just water it, and it just blossomed on its own. So even though my grandma raised me, my mom was raising me too, but my mom worked night shift, so she didn't spend that much time. She did, but she had to hustle to support me. So I did see her like at night times and stuff like that. My grandma raised me a lot too, so there was a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really have uh anybody to support me how to do the tarot, or I didn't know anything about that at the time. The only thing I remember as a child was that what was really amusing to me is that I said, you know what? I know I can see these things. And I started seeing my grandma like mopping the floor, and it was this significant smell. And I'm pretty sure for the people that watch this show, or I don't know if y'all have it, but it's Florida water. That was my first experience when I remember seeing that. She would mop it, and then she would burn incense, and I would hear her saying all these prayers. And then I guess I was like being a kid, but then at the same time I was like that psychic part of me was curious, like where did this ability come from? I did it in my own time. So
Mm-hmm.
I've had many encounters ever since I was little, but I think the one that stood out the most was probably when I was, like I said, about 5. And I remember seeing him, but I was by myself at the time, and he was saying, "Well, you're gonna be fine. I'm gonna be your guide." And at that time, I was like, "What are you talking about?" So I've had a lot of experiences and stuff. I can't really that Tony. I can't really tell you which one stands out more than the other.
Mm-hmm.
I think they all have stood out before, so I really can't give you a profound one that has really stood out to me. I think all my experiences from a child to middle school, high school, and even now, it's just I think my abilities have grown since I've gotten older. Um, so it's like a never ending thing for me 24/7, 7 days a week. I'm like an open psychic. I know I shouldn't be. I've been told to meditate. That didn't work for me. They tried telling me to listen to music. That didn't work for me because they said you need to try to turn off that switch. And then I said, well, I came up with a conclusion that I said, okay, what if I turn off the switch and I'm not meant to? Like other psychics, they do it when they have to, when they do a reading or a walkthrough. I think everything is a message, even when you sleep. So it's kind of like I've always been open, and I know some people say it's bad to do that, but I guess my guides told me that it was okay, so I was gonna be protected all the time. So I'm never really worried about anything.
Excellent. Hi, Ann, down in
Hi,
Australia,
Anne from
international
down under.
audience,
Yes,
our talented
it's
friend.
morning for Anne.
Yeah, it is. It's morning in Australia. So, Chris, a couple of follow-up questions before we move on. Was there oftentimes when young people are having these experiences, their parents, and not out of any malice, but some confusion or maybe fear or religious beliefs or things like that, say, oh no, you shouldn't talk about this, and if you just ignore it, it'll go away, and or this isn't right. Did you have any of that, or were people more just kind of hands off and didn't guide you but didn't impede you either?
Honestly, that is another good question. I didn't have anybody that told me don't watch this. Maybe just keep yourself, just stay away from that. I guess it just, you could say it just grew naturally. So but
Mhm.
one thing they did do, Joey, they did try to keep me outside. When my grandma was doing her stuff. Um, but it was just that I was so intrigued by the stuff that she did, and then there was voices I would hear drumming. There was times where I remember hearing like Indians, but I could hear them very young. Um, I think I was in one of my pictures. I have to. I'll send it to y'all after the show. But I was looking at this rock, and at that time, I guess I was into crystals at the age of 10. I had a jar with all of these different shape of rocks, and all the time that we moved, I don't know what happened to the rocks. Um, I guess I was so in tune with nature. So really, I really didn't have, like you said, I didn't really have someone to stay away from this. And even at that, they didn't watch. I didn't watch scary movies at that time. I would watch cartoons when I was having the kid in me. But most of the time, I was outside. So
Great. When did you Tanya and I talk about the transition from being an experiencer, these things coming to you, and then becoming a practitioner. So at what point did you begin to embrace your gifts and understand them to the point that you began to practice psychic mediumship?
um, I want to say my first experience. Now that one. Um, I want to say it was probably in middle school when I did it. But the thing is, I never told anybody I was a psychic, Joe. I never, yeah, of course, you didn't say on my forehead that I'm a gifted
Mhm.
person, but I guess the people that came up to me, I had suspicions that they knew my name and they said, "Well, is your name Chris?" And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "How do you know me?" And then they said, "Well, I got a question for you. Can you tell me something, blah, blah, blah?" Or there was one time where this guy said, this haunted house, and it's not that far from the school. And they said, I don't know why I'm asking, but I'm being drawn to you for some reason. And he said, well, what's in the house? And I was able to describe it at, I think, around 14, I think,
Wow.
13. I don't remember exact, but I've had times where I really scared the crap out of people in middle school. That's when my first time, I thought it was just a lucky guess, to be honest with you. I was just, it's just lucky guess. And they're like, no, no, no. You described everything to a T. And then as time went on, I think it hit hard when I was in high school. People already knew who I was at the time. And then they would say, here comes the witch down the hall. Because I would hear, but they said it in Spanish and English. So at that time, I was like, why are they calling me a witch for? Because I didn't know. And at that time, when I was in elementary, I kid y'all not, I didn't know any English whatsoever when I was in kindergarten. I've never told this on any show, but I did not know any English when I went to school. And they said, well, he needs to learn English because all the teachers were learning, in English. So they're lucky enough had a Mexican teacher to translate until she taught me English. And then once all the way down the line, I forgot all my Spanish. I understood things, but my practice of speaking wasn't so good until I think when everything stopped was in middle school. That's when I learned all the English. I mean, I learned all the English, and then I learned the Spanish just started dissipating, but I still was around it. That was another thing I never shared with anyone. I grew up in a very Spanish background. Um, I learned about herbs by, I guess, in high school that my grandma knew, that she was an herbalist. She was a medicine woman. And then I started thinking, you know what? I kind of had a suspicion, and even though my grandma's on the other side, I kind of felt she knew something about me, but but no one really, like I said, no one really told me. I had to learn on my own. So that's really what it is. And I think, Joey, when you said that question, I think it happened more when I was in high school. It really just people just started coming up to me, and then I'm thinking to myself, does it say psychic or does it say talk to the dead on my forehead? Or but but it was weird. And then there was other people that I wasn't me because I was real shy, to be honest with you. I still am kind of shy when I meet people, but in that time frame, I didn't just go up to everybody, you know. And some people just didn't want to talk to me, and I thought, well, this is kind of weird. So, I grew up as a person that was very shy. But yeah, it was weird. I was more in my own little shell, all the way from little middle elementary all the way to high school. But then when I started getting more public wise, people started talking to me, exchange my number, and then this word, and you need to call Chris. And then after I graduated, everybody already knew who I was by the time I was done.
Wow.
So
Excellent. Thank
Wow.
you.
I wonder if a lot of those people who were coming up to you somehow were being guided, through their guides to come to you because they knew that, you were able to help them in some way.
yeah, you know what, that is true. When I look back at it, I really never thought of that until just now, until you really said that. Or maybe it probably hit me like after high school, but I just feel like, you know, I do feel that the people that were gifted, and I mean the people, and that's weird. Did you just hear what I just said? That was weird. That just slipped out. I must be reading the people that came up to me. Anyways, the people that came up to me, I feel like they were gifted too, but they didn't have the support and the family support to guide them and tell them, that this was okay to talk about. I think I
Hmm.
was more open, so my family was very open because we're all gifted in my family. Most of us are. Um, but like I said, that just slipped out. So that tells me that all the people that question you asked, they were kind of like empathic, and then
Hmm.
everybody that stood away was afraid of the unknown. They had their suspicion that I was different, but I think the people that stood away from me were the ones that said, I don't believe in that stuff. I believe in the source. I don't believe in any of the stuff you do. Only the people that were intrigued by me were the ones that really did talk to me.
Hmm. How wonderful. So, also in your bio, you talk about being a remote viewer, and of course, I've been interested in remote viewing for over a decade now. I've done a lot of reading, a lot of research about it. I've done a little bit of remote viewing myself. Joey is studying up on it, and we're doing some experiments, so we're learning remote viewing. A little more in depth now, but tell us about your involvement with remote viewing. What drew you to it? What do you remote view for clients? Do you do it for yourself?
That I did for my clients. I've used it with missing persons cases because
Mm-hmm.
that's one of my specialties beside the psychic medium stuff. I've done that with missing persons cases. I've done that with paranormal investigations without being vertical like this. And there's times where I've even used it with finding lost items for some people. So I've done it for clients now. As far as myself, I've never really like, I don't know if I could do it on myself. I think somebody else that has a remote view would be able to do it for me. But that is a good question. I've never done it for myself, even though I know I do have a gift. But I see it as me serving others. I don't use it for my benefit. And then one thing that I don't know if y'all have this on the list on the questions y'all have, and I don't know if this is telepathic. You've written it down or you had it in your head. One of you had it. One of you had this question. I don't know if it's either in your head, which I don't see it written down in paper because I'm seeing it in my head that y'all didn't write this down, but it did. Y'all were kind of curious, and this is one thing, and maybe this might be even one of the listeners that are listening. Um, have I ever been asked to use my gift for lotto numbers? I don't do that. I don't do it for personal gain. I don't
Mhm.
for bingo or for lotto tickets. I've been asked, and I don't know if one of you was thinking that or somebody in the chat was asking
Might
Maybe
that,
have been
but
somebody,
someone in the chat room. Yeah,
maybe
because
somebody in the chat. If that was someone in the chat, if you confirm
yeah,
for Chris,
confirm for
that's always a
Chris.
nice thing
Uh,
to have some confirmation. You know, Chris, you bring up an interesting, and you may be picking up on something for me. So Tanya and I are undertaking a lot of research now for a big grant we're trying to obtain to open up a research and training center. And I've really been looking at the work of Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff at Stanford Research Institute. They were funded by the CIA. They did all the famous remote viewing, finding Patty Hearst, Russian submarines, a downed Russian plane, all these things. But Russell Targ tells this story where in the 1980s, he got involved with a group called Delphi Associates. And they said, I wonder if we can make a bunch of money in the stock market using remote viewing. So they put all
oh
these
wow.
protocols in place. Yeah, they put all these protocols in place and they went after silver futures. And in the first try, Chris, the first year, the first phase of the experiment, they made $100,000, right? These 4 or 5 guys. But then they
Oh
tried to do it
wow.
again. Yeah, they tried to do it again. And it was for greed. Let's see how much more money we can make. And not for science. It was no longer pure. It was greed. And it didn't work at all. So that's spinning around my head. And when you said that
Wow.
you use, yeah, when you use remote viewing only for, never for personal gain, I was thinking, right. Anytime we use our gifts for personal gain, they no longer
they don't
work.
work.
And that thank you for saying that because that validates because I've been asked by people, well, can you get the lotto numbers? And there's times where I ain't gonna lie to you, I did see numbers, but my grandmother on the other side and other guys said no. And I was like, okay, I can't do it. So I told him, I said, I'm gonna tell you right now, up in front, I can't do it. um, and even if, and then they said, well, I'll give you a percentage. And I said, you know what? I'm not interested. Thank you though.
Hmm.
But if you want to do it, if you're the person that has a good luck, I would recommend just going with dates, years, something that's very significant, like loved ones. But as far as like stuff like that, I never did that. And there was a few times where I was kind of upset when people asked me, but I didn't tell them like rudely and stuff. I just said, you know what, I don't use my gift for that. And so I said, you know, and then they said, well, can you just wish me luck, to win? I said, well, that's okay. I can wish you luck, but it's giving you numbers
Hmm.
or what I see in my head. I said, no, I can't do that. So I just but yeah, I just never did that. So, but that thank you for that validation. So that there is a something to that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we're working so hard gathering data, and I'm constantly mulling it in my head. We were like Tanya said, we're taking their protocols and we're putting a team together to do some test trials. Nothing with stock market, nothing with the futures, just putting things in bags and just building that and seeing what
Experimenting.
it's all about. Let's talk about. I was excited by many things in your bio because it's so far ranging, and all of it we can tell comes from the heart, which is beautiful. And I guess your abuela, right? You would say abuela, your grandmother. That
Yes, that's
her
how you say it.
presence is
Well, that's right.
yeah, her presence is there. You can just see it in the aura and all. So, but aura, people being drawn to you. When I was in college, I had a friend who came to me. He's a very soft-spoken guy from Greek descent, and he said, "I have a gift. I can see auras, and I can see your aura, and I want to tell you why certain things happen in your life, why people are drawn to you for advice, and take you into their confidence, tell you their life story 3 minutes after they meet you." it helped me so much. When did you discover your ability to read auras? Do you think that your own aura was part of the reason why people were drawn to you, and how do you use that gift to help other people? So kind of three-part question.
Um, to me, I did use that gift. I want to say probably that one. I want to say I probably did do it. I want to say for some reason I'm being told middle, and then a little bit of high school. Um, I did use that to tell them like what I saw around them, and then I got like, excuse me, other guides around them. So I was able to use it for that benefit too. Um, Also, there was a few times where I was able, and this is very seldom, where I could see like something like if there was something like say like right here if that hip bone hurt, I was able to see like a color that would say that there was inflammation. So I would use the aura to tell them, well, you need to go see a doctor because I'm not a doctor, but you would need to do something on that because I'm seeing a lot of red inflammation. So you need to probably go check that out. So there was a few times that I did do that, and and I did help them in that aspect. But yeah, it's just kind of interesting because you can use auras for a lot of things. You can even use it. Well, you don't want to ever do it for this, but you can tell when someone's gonna pass when they're in the hospital. Their colors are not as bright as like a is what I would call rainbow skittle colored. I think it's kind of like you just know that you just have this, you just can tell that there is something different about it. So, yeah.
All right, excellent.
So you, again, in your bio, talk about how you use tarot. I love oracle cards. I have a couple of favorites that I love to use, and the cards just kind of unfold in front of my eyes, um, as like a moving picture, and things jump out at me, and I'll hear things. So, as someone who does not use tarot, I'm not wildly familiar with tarot. I would love to hear how you use tarot for your readings. What are your favorite decks, and what initially drew you to the tarot?
Um, I have one deck. I have like I'll show you right now. I don't know if the camera will let me. This is the Spirit Messages, the Oracle. I don't know if you can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I use these sometimes when I do readings. The ones that I've been using lately. The other one is called The Watcher Angel Tarot by Michelle Belanger. She's actually been on Paranormal State. I'm pretty sure if you don't know what that show is. My techniques
Mm-hmm.
on the cards is what I find very effective is that if you take them out, this is what I would just show you like a brief. See how the cards are like this. Okay, you just go like this, and if you get a number in your head, you just say one. I just get three, for instance, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then what I usually used to do would ask a number for people. I would ask them, what number do you see, or what number do you want? So I would just go 1, 2, 3. I can't these cards. Hopefully they don't fall. 4, and then 5. And then sometimes if they pick 5, then I would just pick the card over, and then I would show them. And I do it like I don't do it like the Celtic cross or anything like that. Like it says in the booklet, I just have my own method. I do feel that numbers do have an impact on the reading, how you get the validation on them.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to try that. Just let me know. Let me feedback when you do readings. Let me know how it works for you. But
I do something very similar to that with the oracle decks that I
yeah, and
use.
it does work. Yeah, and it does work with the tarot too. The Celtic cross or whatever the book tells you, I would say you can do that method. It's your choice. Um, but I say 99% of the time when you do numbers, like say, for example, when I was doing the cards right now. Okay, let me see if I got a message. Hold on. Okay, for some reason they told me 10. but I have put the cards up. But that's just an example. So maybe somebody
Mm-hmm.
wanted a reading, so I got 10 for them. So to me, 10, even just before if I would have taken the cards out to do a reading, 10 can mean a lot of things. To me, 10 is the zero, new beginnings, opportunities, changes. Um, that can also be Wheel of Fortune sometimes, depending on what the reading is about. So that's kind of like, but I use the numbers with the memory that I have with numerology. I kind of just go with that, and it's all mixed because my readings go from here to there, and the things I come up with at the end of the day that are just in my head. I don't say it in front of me, but I mean in front of the client, but I'm like, did I just do that? So yeah, and it's just it is weird, but I've done, with numbers, and it does, for people that have done Oracle or even just tarot, it's very effective with numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised how accurate you will be. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the only thing I can think of at the moment. But you can just, whatever works for you is, everybody's different, which to their own. So, however you do it, however you communicate, I'm just gonna let you know one thing. When your guides tell you what you see or what they see, they are never wrong. So don't ever like second guess and say, you know what, I got 10, but I kept hearing 13. No, the first message you get is the correct one. Sometimes you'll get like the cartoons, you'll get the devil on this side and the angel. So you gotta go with the first voice you hear,
Mm-hmm.
and 9 out of 10, the reading will be accurate. I don't know about other mediums, but it's very effective.
Mm-hmm. I agree. For me too, it's the first thing that comes if I switch over to my analytical, to the analytical side of my brain. That's it. Then I'm I'm gonna lose accuracy big time. It's just you got to go with the first thing that comes and not question it.
Right. Couple of quick things from the audience, and then we'll continue with the discussion. Hello to Craig Ansel, who, of course, one of our common brothers from Three Beards podcast. He's with us tonight, Chris, in the chat room. Chris
Hi,
Sadaka from
Craig.
Para America.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think, Michael said, so Michelle Bellinger is from Ohio, not too far from where we all live. So Michael lives fairly near to us. But let's put up some of these and ask you your
Wow.
thoughts on your techniques. So our good friend Julie, we've known for a while, she says she loves her Archangel Michael Oracle cards. And of course, Archangel Michael, you call on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Very powerful archetype being. She uses her pendulum to show her which card to pull, and that works very good. And then another longtime
Mm-hmm.
listener, Colette, says, I love using my pendulum for crossing over spirits. I have become very partial to the pendulum. I use a pendulum. That's my dedicated. You use dowsing rods. A lot less complicated than using a spirit box. Chris, do you use a pendulum or dowsing rods or any kind of tool like that sometimes?
Yes, I do. By the way, I do have. It's funny you said that. I have I think it's the PS7 from the one that goes on Ghost Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
I use
Mm-hmm.
that. There's times where I have dowsing rods too. I have K2 meter. I've done that. I also got this new spirit box I have not even used yet. That one is brand new. But depending on what I'm getting at the time, it's what being told. So if I'm being told to use the pendulum, I'm gonna use it. If I'm using my tarot, I'm gonna use my tarot. So it varies, I guess, with each person that I'm reading. So I'm not gonna do the same thing with you what I'm gonna do with somebody else. It just it just comes. It's just like a message that you said, this person, you get a good accurate reading with this. And what I've been known with my guides, they have never been wrong. Especially with my grandma helping me. There's times where she'll tell me just the oddest things, and I'm like, do I really gotta say that? And then she's like, don't ask me because you never did ask me before. Tell them. So then I said, okay, you know what, Grandma, okay, I'm not disrespecting you, but are you sure? And then I hear, yeah. So then I just tell them what I'm being told, how to read for them. And then it goes from there.
Hmm.
And no, and not any way is the wrong way. So if everybody uses Downing pendulums to know what card is better for them, everybody, I personally feel that I don't feel there's any wrong way in spirit. I just feel
I
that everything is divine and connected. So yeah.
I agree. And I think, just like what you were talking about, trust the first thing that comes, trust your intuition on it. And if you're being called to, go with numbers, if you're being called to use your dowsing rod or pendulum or whatever it is, just trust it. That's always the first advice I give anyone. Just trust what you're getting.
So, Chris, you mentioned your Spanish heritage, learning English as a second language, and then that becoming primary for you. But you also mentioned you have a background in shamanism, which I've been studying for almost 30 years. I did a vision quest. We had a Lakota sweat lodge on our property for many years and had profound experiences. Can you talk with the audience about your journey through shamanism and your Indian heritage?
I've used this different things because I do like a lot of smudging. Sometimes I do have to think the shaman deck is dealing with totems. I've done different kind of things, but it varies. There's nothing really specific that stands out. I just use them like in native Indian healing. So there's different methods. I can't be precise on um because it just depends on what I'm doing at the time. So it just varies with what I'm gonna be doing. Excuse me, I feel like I want to burp, but it didn't want to come out. Anyways, sorry. Um, but yeah, that's what's very effective. My shaman heritage, I knew that of course I'm Cherokee, which Cherokees are very psychic, by the way. Um, I've done dream work. I've done like dream visions. I've done like trances where I've done that too. I noticed that in one of my past lives, I was a Cherokee chief, and then there was another time where I was a shaman, which I do have a medicine bag behind it, but you can't see it. that past life, which I do remember some in this life, that the way I did heal people was putting them through trance and doing some kind of healing through that, so they could know what needs to be changed and what needs to be worked on. So it was that kind of dream request and shamanism, which is kind of very interesting. So yeah.
Excellent. Um, you spoke about totems. I have a few very strong totems and had a great experience with one. I was thinking about, what to do in my life after talking with some friends at length the other night, and Red Fox showed up for the first time here. He used to come to me all the time in West
Oh wow.
Virginia and North Carolina. He was beautiful. He stopped right by the side of the road, turned around, looked at us. So Red Fox is very, very strong for me, as is Crow. Crow is my primary. I keep crow feathers in my car to protect me on my travels. I had a weird experience shifting dimensions before a terrible car accident with crow feather in the car. So I swear.
Oh
Do you mind
wow.
talking about some of your personal totems? Are you okay with that?
Well, yeah, fine. One of them I know that I've even shape shifted people in the past. Well, I know a friend of mine, I shaped it into a wolf. It's a white wolf, by the way. It's kind of white and a little bit of grayish. So I've shape shifted into that. That's one of my guides. The other one is the owl. A lot of people have very omens about owls, but in reality, they're not good luck. And the owl to me is it's what I call owl medicine. I do believe that owls are very connected to psychics, mediums, empaths. They're also connected to magic, sorcery, of course, um, witchcraft. They're also between the white and the dark. Um, what else? Can't even think of. Oh, they're also good with seers. They also have the ability because they have very good vision at night. They are very intrigued. If you have an out totem, you're very intrigued by the darkness, the unknown, which meaning that you want to help people like that, or if they have a haunting, or just they have a walking, you walk into their house, um, and you just have this provision of seeing like in the dark, which I can see in the dark. Um, but that's another totem. The other one during the day, I do feel that it's a hawk because I hear the hawks all around here, the chicken hawks. Um, but to me, one thing I don't know if you were going to ask this, Joey, and I might be reading someone again. Um, one thing you need to know is that depending on your shaman journey or just any journey on what path you're going, your totems do change. Your
Hmm.
two primary totems stay the same, okay? But the other two, they change and then sometimes they swap because they got to find somebody else. So they're multiple tasking just like any spiritual guide. So they're there to tell you when something's going on. And then about the crow, that's funny that you were talking about the crow and ravens. To me, the crow and ravens are very, very mysterious. They do. I'm not saying that you're like this, but they do have a connection with the underworld because they see the bridges. Can't even talk. The bridge roams connected from our side to the other side. So there's different portals, different vortex that they intertwine. Is that's what I'm being told. That's what I'm picked
Yeah.
up. That's
Yeah.
how they connect. So it depends on what you're going through. So your due totems do change depending on what you're going through at that time.
Right, Chris, that's a great point, and that's what I found. Red fox and crow have been steady in my life, and the other ones do tend to flux. So thank you for that confirmation. Also, I do a lot of writing. I do astral traveling and shamanic journeying, out of body, and sometimes do go to the underworld. So, and crow is very much that guide. I do a lot of writing about crow in almost every culture. They're the messenger. So I'm not in the underworld, communing with the dark forces or anything.
I
But
know
there,
what you mean.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know what you mean.
I think it's more for the. I think it's more for some of our audience. Here's an interesting comment from our friend Jessica. Almost all of my animal totems are white or albino. Chris, you have any thoughts on that?
I guess it just depends on her. Okay, that was weird. Her, the way she was raised and what she was precise for her to be guided. So I'm being told that it would be uncommon for her guides not to change. I think those are permanent for her, is what I'm being told. And then with white, and then with what you said, they're very flexible, but they keep connecting to her because it's some kind of I'm kind of picking up a native. I'm picking up a tribe, but I'm not gonna say what I'm picking up. For some reason, I don't know why I'm seeing this, but I'm seeing Blackfoot. Um, but there is some other Indians, and then I got Apache, but I don't know where that's coming from. But yeah, there is, depending on what's going through. I do feel that with her, there's just a reason why her totems are that color, and there's
Great,
and it just depends on, I guess, whatever she's going through. Yeah.
excellent. Thank you.
So, you're also a paranormal investigator, and you mentioned that you have the PSB7.
Right.
And what other tools do you use? What is some of your philosophy? We talk about how we're not really fans of the term ghost hunting because, in our view, we're not hunting, ghosts. We're looking to help. We're trying to
Yeah.
see, can we help the living and the dead? So we're not hunting anything. What is your philosophy about paranormal investigation, and what are some of your favorite tools?
To me, I would say it's about respect. That's the
Mm-hmm.
main
Yep.
thing. And to me, I don't feel it's like I'm trying to use a K2 meter to, hey, you know what, spirit, can you talk to me? Because I gotta talk to you. No, I do feel that when I do them, I try to give the people closure. And then sometimes I've came across where they say, well, the activity doesn't stop. I've had other teams come and try to help. They tried to help me, but they couldn't find out anything. And the best thing for this is for some people that might be told, in case if they don't know, what you can do is get some wild berries or a plant that gives them offerings, and sometimes that keeps the things at bay, depending on if your hunting has stopped. And then sometimes you gotta sage and use Palo Santo all the time. But sometimes I've noticed out in the wilderness, you can use berries. I can't think of anything. It's like I got tongue tied for a second, but there is berries, and then there's another one. I can't think of it offhand, but you can use some kind of fruit, that can give offering to them. So it does keep them with that kind of stuff. So it's kind of just that's what I'm being told. It's very important to respect. And when you go to investigation, my philosophy is you tell them, I'm not here to invade your space, to
Mhm.
respect you. And I know your presence are here, but can I help you with something? Now, if they say no, then you can ask them one time, and if they get a no, then you just have to leave. Can you tell me if you want my help? If you tell me no, I will leave. They say no. They say no, I don't need your help. But if they say yes, they say, well, can you deliver a message? You can do that. The other thing you can do is just tell them if there's something I can do, and you just tell them, if they want to cross over, and then if they don't want to cross over, then they have unfinished business. And sometimes some spirits, most of the majority of the time, they just don't want to leave. There's others that don't want to be in this room because they're intertwining with reality, you know, because they're doing the same thing all over and over and over. And then some of them don't even know they're dead because they do the same thing, like go by the door every day, by the door. And those are what you call, I want to say, I can't think of the word right now.
Residual.
Um, I was going to say resident, but that's not the word I was looking. Residual,
Residual.
it's the same thing. But if it's intelligent, yeah, then most of the time, if it's interactional or intelligent, then they're aware that they are dead, but they just want some kind of assistance, um, in helping what you can do, and they'll tell you who they want to ask for. The other thing is too, you can just respect, like I said, have boundaries for them, and then just say, we're not here to hurt you, and that's what you can do. And a lot of people, they do it too because they know that there's the unknown. And this is one thing I've been told to tell: don't ever provoke a spirit. Don't
Thank
ever
you.
provoke
Yes,
them.
exactly.
Right.
That's I'm being told very clearly. Do not provoke them.
It's amazing how many people you have to tell that, Chris, which kind of leads to, I don't know if you know, but in our latest book, Roommates from Beyond, we've published a paranormal bill of rights. And it's 10 things, and you hit almost all of them in your philosophy. And before I say what I'm going to say, I want to say that there are many of us out there doing the work in this very respectful way, doing what in the Lakota training we've received is walking the good red road. But with a lot of the reality shows, a lot of the young ghost hunting groups, right, who call themselves ghost hunters and have a certain look and manner about them, they're all about battling demons, and everything's a demon, and everything's pretending to be a demon. What's your position on beings that have never been human? They're not light beings, they're dark beings that feed on fear, that feed on anger, that fear
Yeah.
on the weakness. What is your position on those? Your experience or your philosophy or however?
To me, I don't feel everything is a demon, but most people, you can feel their presence. You'll know right off the bat. Some
Yeah.
of them, I do feel that they're fallen angels, that they just need some kind of guidance. And again, like to cross over. And then the ones that were never, I guess, human like, as I would say, I guess they're trying to figure out, just, I don't know what I'm being told. I guess they're trying to figure out who they are and what their purpose is. And then sometimes when a person sees a dark, and this is most common in investigations where it's where there's like terror, they usually see a black person with a cloak over their head, like a jacket or something, like a hoodie. And I don't know if this is for somebody, but I'm being told it might be. Most of those times when you see the cloak over them, I want to say at least 95% are not demons. There could be some that could be, but those are probably either murderers, uh, people that did bad in while they were alive. Okay, and then when they cross over, whatever they did in reality, they're gonna do on the other side. They're there to cause terror or nothing, to cause terror. And sometimes they don't even need. Sometimes, majority of the time, they don't mean to scare you, but you can tell when their intentions are is when you can tell right off the bat if their intentions is to hurt you, they're gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
Um, but sometimes some people don't understand why do people come with a cloak, over them, and why do they torture people? To me, that's a very good question. I don't know if anybody's asking that, but as me being a psychic, I would just say, just again, just have respect and just tell them, is there something I can help you with? And the majority of the time, I don't know why, but don't ever play with the Ouija board. I'm being told that right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
just be very careful with what you do, and this is what I say: you cannot fight what you can't see. So if you don't know what you're doing, you need to get an expert in that forte that resonates with the energy that you're dealing. If you're knowing that there's something evil and you're trying to cast it out on your own, I wouldn't recommend it. I would call a demonologist or somebody, or even a priest that, with your city of your foundation, or if there are people that do believe in that stuff, because some of them, that's their job. But there's a lot of priests that even they, once they walk in or they say, no, we can't help you, it's because they probably have too much fear that they feel like they can't get rid of it. So I would say just get a demonologist and just get somebody that knows what they're doing. Don't try to provoke it and then you end up making it worse. So
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's great advice,
Absolutely.
Chris. And you've expanded this conversation out. A lot of researchers are fixated on shadow people and people being demon like, not having been human before, at least not a lot of them. And especially with the hat people, there's this prevalent theory that they're shapeshifters who are collecting souls and sucking out souls. Do you allow for that for a percentage of those hooded or hatted beings?
I want to say that, yeah, I want to say some of them, but I can't give
Mhm.
you an estimate of how many
Sure.
there is.
Sure.
So it's
Sure.
just, I guess it's kind of like even like the yin and the yang. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, it's just there. It's not like one's higher than the other. So it's just, I guess you could say it's in between, is what I'm being told to tell you.
Yeah, thank you. That was all very helpful. Tanya, with the time we have left with Chris, tell people how you have so much to give, and there's so much gold light coming out of your heart, man. It's a joy to watch you, and we're honored to have you on the show. How can people get in touch with you if they need help, if they want a reading and all of that stuff that you do? How can they do that?
They can reach me, of course, at Chris Psychic Garcia, or they can reach me on my own personal cell phone, 210-974-3470. Again, 210-974-3470. Or you can reach me at the email Garcia187bluelove@gmail.com. I'm also on Instagram, so if you're not a Facebook user and you use um, prefer Instagram, I'm on there too. I'm not very hard to find. Just put Sidekick Kid _23. I'm also on Twitter, but I don't remember that offhand. There's other apps that I'm on, but you just have to know. I guess the best thing that I've always told everybody, no matter what show I'm on, if you program my number and you have other apps, then I'm gonna pop up like on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I do feel that that's very effective. If you have, like if you have the number to someone, then they will get your phone will automatically, I guess what it say, be smart to notify, oh, Chris is on Instagram. So then you just get a notification and that's how you do it. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Chris. So we're gonna let you go. Thank you so much
for joining us.
It's been an
tonight.
honor.
Been
We
wonderful.
learned so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and I appreciate it too. And you know what? It's a good time. And you know what, Joy? I was gonna tell you, I didn't expect to do readings on here. To me,
Mhm.
it's just, I think, to me, no matter what podcast or whatever show you're on, sometimes some people do want readings because that's what that show is known for. But I
Right.
think even just an interview is good for me, so other people can reach out and maybe they learn something that they didn't know before. So I do feel that everything that I said, it gives somebody like a message. So that's how I say it.
Absolutely, and we see, thankfully, you have lots of
I know.
opportunities to do those readings, and we've watched you twice on Three Beards, and I believe on Julie's show you were on. So yeah, so it's nice to see what is the journey behind that. So we're glad you agree. Thank you so much, and we will hopefully see you again soon, my friend.
Yep.
Okay, that was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I apologize. We have some things going on in the chat room with some people who were doing some personal solicitations and things like that. And we do apologize. That's hard to control while we're doing the show live. So again, just ignore those. That's sometimes the downside of what's happening. We do want to, next week, we're going to do a replay of our experience in Point Pleasant with interdimensional beings and missing time, over 2 hours of missing time. And Michael, I agree. Chris is wonderful. He reminds me of you, just the gold light pouring out of the heart, doing this work
Doing
with
it from a
absolute
place of
love.
love.
So we're going to replay that because there's some personal business we have to take care of next Thursday. Nothing major, but it does not allow us to do the show. And there was no way around the time. We were told when we needed to show up, and that was it. We've been waiting a long time to do this. So, but we will be back the following week, and Tanya will be doing readings. So Tanya will do single card readings.
No, I don't know if I'm going to use cards.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm just going to live on the wild side.
Good. So
See
tune
what
in.
pops up.
And Michael, we believe, we mean every word of it. We believe it, and that's why we say it. Everything we say. We're honored to know you, and all our many listeners tonight. Thank you. So we're going to come back. Tanya's going to do the readings. We're going to close out the month with an episode about reincarnation. You asked, we're going to deliver. We've been doing a lot of research. We've been looking at famous cases. We'll be looking at those. Tanya's training and experiences, her personal past life experiences, mine. And we're going to end the show with a very compelling case of reincarnation with a beautiful happy ending that I think is very inspiring. So you can look for that. And then we have Mike Anthony, who's a bartender at Hamilton and a lot of other theaters, but he's also written a book about his 6-year journey. His father died. He started to get messages. I think he started as a cynic and moved skeptical. And by the end of his journey, he was a very firm believer. I'm honored to have him on the show coming up. We're going to have the James Foys. Part of Mike's research took him to England, looking at classic mediumship, the real roots of mediumship, table tipping and ectoplasm and rapping, knocking, disembodied voices. And the James Foys have written a wonderful book, Piercing the Veil. We're excited to have them on. That is, we'll remind you numerous times, That show's going to be a 4:30 hour time, Eastern Standard Time here on the East Coast of the United States, because they're in England. So rather than asking them to stay up late, they're involved in the theater, they're teachers, they're psychic mediums, they're filmmakers. So we're honored to have them come on the show. We're going to have Nicole Strickland come on after that and talk about the haunted Queen Mary and her history during World War II and after. And she stopped down in San Diego. I think I'm going to San Diego for 2 weeks in November. You got to come with me, and we got to go on the ship. I just got news yesterday. There's a big project I'm involved in, so I'll be in San Diego in November. And then into June, we have a Hawaiian storyteller who's going to be on the show. RTC is coming back in July, the Red Thread Collective, to look at mysteries of Antarctica. So thank you all for joining us. Colette, it was good to see you. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again. Folks, so tune in next week if you missed that Point Pleasant or if you want to revisit it. We both went through hypnotic regression to find that 2 hours of missing time. It was fascinating. Past parallel universes, psychic experiments, contactee, didn't feel like abductee. But anyway, tune in for that, and we'll see you in a couple weeks live again. Julie, thank you, longtime friend. We really appreciate it. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
And continue to join us, because you never know what you'll find when you journey into the outer realms. Thanks again to Chris.
Take care, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you, Chris.